Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Stephen A. Smith, and the reason we're releasing this in various shows, because if we try to discuss everything in one show, it would just be too damn long. So I said, okay, let's find a way to split this thing into various episodes here. So anyway, as you guys know, Stephen A. Smith made his long-awaited appearance on the Paul George podcast. They published the episode about 18 hours ago. Obviously, it depends on when you're seeing this particular show. As I'm viewing it now, that episode currently has 550,000, views. So there's a lot of interest in that in this particular sit down. Now, as you guys know, Stephen A. Smith has had his run-ins with various athletes throughout his career. And one of those athletes, most notably, has been Kyrie Irving, right? Stephen A. Smith has had this long, back and forth with Kyrie Irving, spanning now what looks like years, right? What essentially has been the story is that whenever Kyrie Irving does something, Stephen A. Smith has always been the person that usually comes down on him the hardest. He's the one that proposed the idea that, I would never give Kyrie Irving more than a 1-year contract. He's like, if you want, pay him $50 million per year, but I don't trust him. I don't trust that he's going to be available. I don't trust that he's going to show up to work. So Kyrie Irving is somebody that just cannot be trusted. And because of how hard Stephen A. Smith has gone at Kyrie, it has caused quite a bit of people to come to the defense of Kyrie Irving. And a lot of people have been asking the question, hey, wait a minute. Is this personal? Is this personal with you guys? Because Stephen A. Smith has always said that it's never personal between him and the athlete. So what happened? During this interview, when he sat down to talk with Paul George, he opened up because he was asked to kind of explain some of the issues that he's had with various people throughout the years. And he opened up about a time when things got pretty heated between him and Kyrie. And during the Lakers game, Kyrie Irving actually approached Stephen A. Smith in person to test his temperature and to see if all of that stuff he was saying on TV, if he was going to keep the same energy in person. But before we get into that exchange, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what happened according to Stephen A. Smith, and then we want to come back and react to his comments. So take a listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say here about his encounter with Kyrie Irving at the Lakers game.
That, and to certain respects, believe it or not, Kyrie, because I think that got misconstrued. To me, you're so spectacular in box office. I'm tired of seeing one thing after another leading to you missing games. That was my only point. There's always something. Yeah, I want to leave Cleveland. I'll stay here in Boston if you'll have me, and then you leave and you go to Brooklyn, and it's one thing after another. After you got the brothers to come to Brooklyn, where you should have went to the Garden, you'd have been worth about $500 million more playing for the Knicks than for the Brooklyn Nets. And so That was my position.
Is that a little bias there?
Huh?
Yeah,
Yes, totally,
for sure.
totally. I mean, listen, I'm praying on camera for Damian Lillard to reconsider. You know, I love South Beach, less taxes and the whole bit, but New York, and I'm praying for him to come. Damn right. But the thing about it is that when that stuff happened with Kyrie, you know, he and his father and I are fine, but it got to a point where it wasn't, because unbeknownst to the public, the father, loving his son, was coming to his defense by sending me text messages that, quite frankly, I didn't appreciate. And so because of that, it took on a life of its own. And credit to Kyrie, I mean, listen, it's really nobody's business, but I feel because the story took on a life of its own, I really, really owe it to people to let them know I hope I'm not violating Kyrie's trust, because I usually don't betray people's trust. That's just a big thing for me. But I will tell you, we were at the Staples Center. Kyrie rose up on me. Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies. He rose up on me. I think it was either that or Denver. He rose up on me. He taps me on the back and he's like, "You still got that same energy face to face?" I said, "I'm standing here, ain't I?" And he was like, "It's really not about me anymore." And I looked at him and I said, "You're right. It had become about me and his dad and how we had elected to communicate with each other. And the shame of it is I'm 55. Obviously, his father is around my age. And the younger son was the one that had to educate us. This is really about y'all." Mm-hmm. And so I just said, that's what men do. Kyrie Irving is right. And I called his father. And we resolved everything, and we met face to face, and it's no problem. I said to him, "I'm still going to judge your son by what I see. But this notion that there's going to be personal animus or whatever, I thought I was just doing my job. If it looked differently, that's on me." And so, you know, real knows real. And when you're a man, you own up and you fess up to the things that you did wrong. Right. And I'm going to always be that dude.
So you heard what he had to say, right? You heard what he had to say, that Kyrie came up to him, tapped him on the shoulder, and Stephen A. Smith said, "Do I look like I'm running?" and all of this, whatever, right? So they had their exchange, and essentially he said that, "Listen, this situation is between you and my father," whatever. Now, there's some things that's a bit unclear. He said that he called up Kyrie Irving's father, and they were able to resolve the issue over the phone. But then, in earlier stages of that interview, he said that him and Kyrie will probably never be good again. But the issues between Kyrie's dad and Stephen A. Smith, I didn't quite understand that. I don't like the fact when Stephen A. Smith says, "I know what happened, I know what's happening here, but that's not for me to release that information, so why bring it up?" Like, why bring it up? Because all of us are going to be sitting there asking, okay, so what's the issue? What's really going on between you fellas? Is there something serious? Can you explain? But since he's not willing to give out that information, it's just going to leave a lot of people wondering and guessing, well, what is going on with you and Kyrie? And I guess we'll never know. I don't expect Kyrie Irving to ever address this publicly. Now, I will say one thing, however. Stephen A. Smith is he's confident, yes, but Stephen A. Smith seems very arrogant. And Stephen A. Smith seems to be someone that has a very big ego. And I think that Stephen A. Smith's feathers can be ruffled when he meets people that are probably more successful than him in terms of finances that dismiss him. I think that's something that really bothers a person like him. And it's one of the reasons you've heard him in the past say Kyrie Irving thinks everybody's peons. Kyrie Irving thinks everybody just, these guys are nobodies and all of that. And I think that that's probably, I don't know. I think that's probably a sentiment that Kyrie Irving has expressed towards Stephen A. Smith. Like, yo, you're a nobody. Like, you're a peon to me. Not a nobody in reality, but when it comes to this paper, you're a nobody. And I think that that's something that kind of irks Stephen A. Smith, because when it comes to the bread, I mean, you can't compete with these NBA guys, right? Unless you're the guys paying them. So maybe there's an element of that where Kyrie just tried to dismiss him, like, yo, get out of here, man. You're not even, probably something like that. And I can see a person like Stephen A. Smith being bothered by that, right? So I don't know if this is true, but this is just something I'm suspecting from the outside looking in. So what I want to know from you guys is this. What do you think about his exchange? Do you think that they will ever bury the hatchet? Do you think that this thing is going to go on forever? And do you think we're ever going to get to the bottom of exactly what transpired between Stephen A. Smith and Kyrie Irving? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.